Here we go. And I think it's official. Wednesday, December 8th? No. Yes.
Yes.
December 8th.
Yes, it is.
9th for you.
No.
Ben?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, maybe. We're here. Welcome, gentlemen. Caleb, Ben, I'm Jem. How's everybody?
Good. I'm liking our color
Good.
coordination here.
I know. I was just thinking we've gone
orange,
bold.
purple, blue.
Hey. Oh my.
Speaking of orange, purple, and blue, where's the fire?
Let's get a drink because I just feel like that's got to happen.
Ben's here like, oh geez.
Oh no. So who's
Ben,
going?
Tommy.
Who's going first? Who's going first? Caleb, you want to go first for drinks?
I'll go.
Okay.
This week.
Knob Creek. You know that. All right, cool. And it has not been Calebized yet.
You're right. Look at how full that is. That's a lot of. That's not Caleb at all.
How recently was that purchased?
About
actually
20
a
minutes
while
ago. Okay. Knob Creek it is. Benny boy, what are you having today, sir?
I'm way ahead of you today. I started. Woo.
Chianti.
That's what I'm on. Yeah.
Ooh.
Really, really cheap bottle of Chianti.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to say it, a nice Chianti. But
yeah.
This is all right. So I'm doing the dregs of this. This is a kind of Caleb-y bottle.
Perfect.
But there we go.
Unbelievable. Okay, good. I think I'm just gonna have what's inside of here, which is I think a Glenlivet, probably Founder's Reserve, not 100% sure, but I'm gonna put that into a glass and start drinking it. So let's do a little cheers. Welcome everybody here in the chat.
He just put some Dewar's White in there and said it was Glenlivet.
Dewar's White. Hey, I've had that on an airplane more than once. That's for sure. Cheers, everybody. Sláinte.
Cheers, all.
No, sorry. Cheers.
All right. Well, this is Cameron Flask. We get together every Wednesday. We've got 2 more episodes for this year, this week and next Wednesday. We talk about gear. We talk about the industry. We talk about things that hopefully don't demonetize the channel or individual episodes. Though I did turn off the monetizing option for last week. I realized I might as well be proactive about it because there were things said that probably at some point are going to get me in trouble. What just happened? Did I just get a little pop-up here? I feel like I'm behind the curve. And look at this.
What is
the first one in a while. We got a super chat from Camille. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for that, Camille. Unbelievable. What?
Do you think that was in response to you saying that you had to take off the monetization from last week's?
Whatever it was, it's like a Backstage gift, a little holiday gift from the Backstage. So thank you very much for that. And we have a pretty lively chat here. I have never seen Tommy come in before the show, so this is a first for sure. Incredible. And I don't think there's been a post yet about lighting, but that's okay. And then look at what we got. We got McLeod Creative. We've got Wooter here. By the way, speaking of Wooter, look at this, everybody. That's Wooter's setup right there. And this is
context. Last week we did a desk challenge. You probably were just about to say that, but
no, I was no. It's perfect. I love the keyboard and the way the keyboard is stored frame right. That's pretty cool. See that, guys? It has like a little thing.
Yeah. So that looks like that is clasped fairly tightly. Now I'm intrigued to know if that actually gets played in that position.
I think it just slides in there. Wooter can maybe give us that. I think
I'd be really impressed if that was played like that.
That's ridiculous. It's cool though.
You never know when you need to bust out a quick set of chords.
And then here's yeah, let's do it. Let's do a couple of And then this is James's setup, which was also in the spam folder. And look, we're in that one too. So very much appreciated. Very cool. Some nice surfing footage, it looks like, in there. So there you go. If you have a question, by the way, in the chat, just put in @the_C47. And this week it's kind of a fireside chat. We're going to go over questions that you might have about the industry. We'll talk about next week's episode, which we could do right now, which is basically just going to be our favorite gear. If you want to share your favorite gear as well, David's already sent a PDF. You can send something to, I don't know, gear@thec47.com. And, just a 16:9 PDF. Don't make it 40 pages long, 3 to 5 pages. And then just basically any gear that you want to show. And if you have a description or something that you want to say about the gear, put it into the PDF. Don't put it into an email so that it has to be extracted and then formatted into stuff. And that's it. That's it, right? We're going to do favorite gear, gents.
Mm-hmm.
Like the stuff that, that we really liked that came out in 2021 or that was really shipping in 2021, right? So
I was thinking even just stuff
favorite gear.
2021 that was like, man, in 2021, this
change
whatever.
Okay, great. I'm down with that too.
New
so
to
just
you. Or new.
Good.
Either way.
I'm down with that. Perfect.
Apparently I remind Andrew of a grown-up Charlie Brown. I don't know how I feel about that.
I so see that as well. That's amazing.
Oh no.
Well,
need a little...
Ben reminds me of a grown-up Linus, so it's okay. So we're okay. Especially with the striped shirt. There's just something about it today. I feel like you need go get a Linus blanket and we'll be okay. If we were going to talk about what our Linus blanket would be, because it's just a representation. It doesn't necessarily have to be a blanket. And if you're not familiar, by the way, with Peanuts and with Charlie Brown and all of that stuff, there's a character named Linus. He carries around this blanket. He may not be the cleanest kid on the block either, but it's sort of like his comfort thing, right? When a kid has a little stuffed animal or a blanket and it's a thing that makes them feel safe. It's their safe thing. So if you gentlemen had a Linus blanket, what would it be? I mean, and scotch and alcohol does not count, okay? Oh, there he is. Good old Linus.
You really did nail the shirt there, Ben.
See, really that's what I'm saying. Today. See what I'm saying? Right you are the Linus. You are Linus, and then we've got Charlie Brown. And I don't know who I am. I'm definitely not Lucy, I'll tell you that much. But let's what do we so what would your Linus blanket be? Anybody in the chat want to share that? And we'll scroll back up and we'll try to find some questions in here. But what do we have? Anybody?
I don't know.
Question wise or blanket?
Blanket wise.
Blanket. Yeah. What would be your Linus blanket?
The cats, always with you. When I'm working in here, when I'm working at home, having them around, I find enormously comforting, and I don't get as wound up as I do when they're not around. Oddly.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When what's not around?
Cats. The cat strip, or one of them in particular, comes and sort of sits on my knee or sits on my desk while I'm working. And I find that quite a soothing thing.
Mm. Can you think of anything, Caleb?
Coffee.
That too.
A cup of coffee, yes.
In your hand, like just, it gives you a comfort and it...
Yep. Well,
yeah.
In my hand and sipping on it.
Yep.
There you go.
Cool.
Not demonetized yet.
Nope, not yet. It's early. It's really early. Okay. So it looks like we have some questions already in the chat. I don't know if one of you gentlemen want to start pulling some of these questions and extracting them. They started pretty early on.
Yeah. Dan at the top, I'll just quickly take care of that one. He says, Caleb, can you talk about the corporate video guide, thinking about creating a business overview videos for local businesses? That would definitely go into that. Jem, you've done some stuff along that lines, right? Like
sure.
The business of filmmaking and video. Is that stuff available on
Lynda.com? No, Lynda or LinkedIn Learning.
LinkedIn Learning.
It's all the same.
There it is.
It used to be. So LinkedIn Learning has some stuff that has to do with corporate video. It's more about the doing this and less about the business side of it. But, it brings up some of the considerations you have to think about in different areas of corporate video. So I've got 2 lighting courses and then one on corporate, like multicam productions, like live event and some other stuff. But there's a lot of great resources out there for stuff. So
both, in other words, because we in ours, we don't get into the technical much. We get into a little bit of lighting, kind of basic setups, camera, just a basic interview setup. But we mainly focus on the business side of, bookkeepers, CPAs, pre-production, working with clients, getting clients, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So there you go. Perfect.
Great.
Another one, I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. This is also this is Spruce now. Planning on making a spec ad for my portfolio, and I'm curious as to what is more important, pretty shots and product focused or story driven and engaging.
So it depends on what the core of your business is. If you're doing the whole thing, then I guess it needs to encompass all of that stuff. If you're doing it as a cinematographer kind of reel and you're doing it on that, then it's more pretty. I don't know.
Yeah.
So making it for whoever's going to hire you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Doing it for them. And I've heard a lot of guys do multiple spec ads.
Yes.
Like they've got a whole bunch of them. And if it's a producer or if it's someone looking for a DP or if it's a direct corporate, company, they're different stuff gets sent.
Yeah.
So you've got that edgy, like wandering DP reel, and then you've got your like squeaky clean food, cheese
tabletop
factory
type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the only thing I can say about spec ads and doing that kind of work is you definitely want to create work that is along the lines of the work that you want to get and continue to do. So, don't just create a spec ad around something that, you'd like to get a job doing that just to try it out. I think you really have to identify whether you're doing it as a DP/cinematographer or you're doing it as a producer director. I think Ben has a good point there, but at the same time, create the content that is the type of content you want to create. Don't just try to fit it into what other people want, because then you're just emulating or duplicating what other people are doing. Take the type of work that you want to do and put your spin on it and do it to the highest of your ability. And then, be unsatisfied with what you do and continue to get better at doing it. So, just don't create it because you think people want it. Create the stuff that you want to be doing in the future. That's how you set it. That's the whole purpose to me of doing spec ads is you're getting your feet wet, you're trying things, you're experimenting, and then hopefully coming out the other end with a piece of work that you can show other people that will potentially get you work in that area. Hopefully. Yep. Cool.
Another question here. I think it's kind of interesting. It's a good question that isn't asked all the time, and it is from Andrew. Anyone shoot anything cool recently I can check out? Anything or just anything you've shot that you're like, I learned something, or
that's for the chat too.
I'll go first. I've been in kind of a rut with the visual side of the channel for a while, so making things look cool and interesting and pretty, and I've just kind of got into this, like, this is my process, and it's just no love, no soul, just soulless B-roll. And then just recently I started messing with some new stuff and got really into it again. And so my latest video, the Ronin 4D review, played with projectors and did all this stuff, got super wandering DPE, and rather proud of it felt really good to get excited about it again.
That's awesome. Nice. And something that you think you'll take and continue to incorporate some of those new things into the future content you're creating?
Projectors, 100%. Just instant texture.
Yeah.
Instead of having, because I hate building sets is fun, but the second you change the camera height, everything goes to poop.
Yeah.
And the amount of work it takes to like get it to work.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I think this recent project I did for my client, which was an annual anniversary event that I helped them produce and brought a vendor in. And it was a close to 1,000-person live Zoom meeting, essentially, or event. And so, and it was all done on Zoom. Oh, it was. And it was, we were having meetings with Zoom as a company saying, well, we want to do this. And they were like, well, we've never done that before. And what we were doing is bringing in almost half of those, or at least a third of those people, 300 to 450 people who had their cameras on. We weren't bringing their audio; their mics were muted, but their cameras were on. And we created. There was like 8 or 16 computers to do this. We were pulling them in live and creating a video wall of hundreds of people behind the presenters. And when they would do things, they would actually clap and react in real time to everything. It was
nice.
It took a lot of time to plan it, and it was a great learning experience. So it's, you just don't get to do, it's like a new thing. You're doing something new. You're taking a platform that is designed for certain things and clearly can do other things, and really pushing it, pushing the boundaries of what it's capable of doing. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
I guess for me, I'm doing a really nice thing. It's always kind of difficult, I think, when clients come to you, and it goes back a little bit to the spec ad that we were talking about earlier, and they come there, and sometimes clients have a very specific idea about what they want. Sometimes they don't. They know what the aim is. They know whether that's that they're wanting to show off their wares to a certain audience, or the goal is to increase awareness of it, or it's to sell a specific product. But I'm doing some work with a hotel that's part of a big old estate, which is incredibly interesting history from the whole thing. And we pitched this idea of doing a series. So the whole thing has become like a little documentary series. And we're going into all the aspects of the estate. So they have the restaurant there, Michelin-starred restaurant as part of the hotel. Everything that they eat or everything that they cook in that restaurant more or less comes from the estate. So the venison is shot on the estate. So we went out with the gamekeeper, who's this guy in his late 70s in all the tweeds and the gear and this with this huge Scottish accent. And we went out with the owner of the estate with him. And he taught this kid, as a kid, taught him to shoot. And the guy's now my age. And it's just these beautiful little stories. And there's full of all these characters within this business. So we're now making essentially little docs every single month for a year about these amazing people in this beautiful place. And it's just, I think I've just edited the first one. We're just putting the final touches to that. So I'm proud of it in terms of that. I really like the story of it, and people will watch it and I think come back to it as a series. And it obviously promotes awareness of, and there's loads of businesses within it. They supply meat to other people. They do, they have tourism venues. They have pubs, restaurants, as well as the main hotel. It's a really big estate that at one time actually stretched from the east coast to the west coast of England. And they own pretty much everything in between, which is a fairly amazing story as to from that estate, over 1,000 years old. But I think just that whole thing of taking an idea away, having those initial discussions, and then coming back and saying, "Well, this is the idea." They'd seen a video that they liked from another similar establishment, and then think, "Well, And once you go and meet them, you lot are really, really interesting people, and everyone you get introduced to, they're going, "Oh, you're a story," right. And then actually them going for it. So I think at this stage, I'm more proud. Getting them to agree to
sell them on it.
Yeah. The first, it's going well so far, and it's a really nice. And it's working with Jago as well, which is always really enjoyable for me. So so the first 3 we've shot, first one's edited, but But yeah, that's kind of the most different, interesting thing that I've done of late.
Cool.
Where can people find that? Is it a public thing yet?
Or is the first one up, or will you let us know?
The first one isn't up. I think the first one will be up next week. But it's the place is called Askham Hall. So if you can, Askham Hall in Cumbria.
You'll have to let us know when it's live. So
please.
Yeah. Next week.
Sounds amazing.
Certainly before Christmas. Yeah.
Okay. Jeff with a hell of a beard says, I need to do, I'm giving it to you. It's there. So I need to do a series of walk and talks where the actor is speaking to camera. Any ideas how to use a teleprompter for this? Memorizing may not be feasible. This is for a marketing campaign. That's actually a really interesting question. I mean, the trick with the trick with walk and talks is really, it's all about pace, right? So you want the person to feel like they're naturally walking when they're looking to camera. And a lot of that has to do with them, and a lot of it has to do with the camera operator. So the only way you can probably pull this off if you're going to do a prompter is obviously you're going to have to come up with something like one of those smaller Parrot or, small prompters, because you're not going to be able to put a 16-inch prompter in front of the camera, probably. And you're going to have to figure out a way to battery power it, though a lot of these prompters can work off of smartphones or tablets, which can be battery powered in themselves. And it's a timing thing, because the prompter side of it, if you're not used to using it, has as much to do with the person operating the prompter as it does with the talent. They've got to find the balance of how fast or how slow those words are actually going to be going onto the screen and all of that stuff this way. Sorry. So I think you're going to have to be pretty close to talent. You're probably going to have to shoot on a wider lens. You're not going to have a prompter that's, 12 feet away from the talent, probably. I've never done anything like that with a prompter for a walk and talk. So I definitely encourage the memorizing if it's possible. But you do want them to look to camera when they're doing it, of course. So,
or another alternative, can you still get hold of Google Glass?
Interesting.
Oh gosh,
I haven't seen one of those since NAB about 5 years ago.
You get a free pair with a Scion camera. So I don't know. I think you got a little more homework to do. I definitely do some searching on walk and talk teleprompter.
Give me a crazy idea.
Tell me.
I just sent the Ronin 4D back last night, but it would have been great to put a Parrot on it and see what that'd be like.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, if you got $10,000, just burn a hole in your pocket, just buy that. Parrot on top, done.
Yep.
So that's another part of it is the person tracking the teleprompter.
Andrew says, how come so many people that work in visual mediums wear glasses? Because we stare at screens for 24 hours a day and our eyesight is shot to all hell. It's not that, really, but it's part of it.
I wonder
it's so average... that. Of course, that's what it is.
It is. What'd you say, Caleb?
I'm curious now. How many people on average wear glasses? Whoa! About 75% of adults use some sort of vision correction.
Yep. Yep.
64% wear eyeglasses.
But I have another theory on this. Not a theory. When I first started wearing glasses, which is probably when I was in my mid-20s, I guess. And when I was at the opticians then, the optician said, well, most people wouldn't have even come in asking about this. I think it's probably due to what you do for a living that you're so acutely aware of focus that you said it's so mild, and the correction made a big difference to me and in terms of work and everything else. But most people wouldn't even notice. But people who have a visual line of work tend to come in earlier. So maybe there's something in that as well. I don't know.
Yeah. I didn't notice until I like jokingly put on someone's glasses when I was 16 and looked at, I was in a stadium and I looked up at a clock and I could read it. And I took the glasses off and I couldn't read it. I was like, huh, I need glasses, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, bollocks.
Yep. And then it's also, what type of prescription you get. It's not cut and dry. I just recently got a new, what he calls a computer prescription. So it allows me to work within, arm's length into where the prompter is. I need glasses to see far away, but I found that balance, which has been working very well. So there you go. We have questions.
For those tuning in, yeah, glasses.
Go ahead. Glasses. I don't know where we got. I guess the Google Glass thing did that. Tim says, at the C47, I'm trying to create more revenue streams for my company beyond commercial content creation and YouTube. Considering gear rental, what revenue streams do you all have in your businesses? Yeah. I've thought about gear rental.
Caleb's
but
the master of this.
Gear rental, I think, is tough nowadays, especially because, you really, there are some gear sharing or rental, solutions out there. But the reality is that you have to have certain types of kit to make your gear rent consistently. And that's very different than owning something that does the job for you. And then, then there's also the insurance side of it. There's, the wear and tear side of it. So,
and do you not think that if you rent, this is my fear with it, because I've thought about it so many times, particularly here, because there's no rental houses anywhere near here, and I have quite a lot of gear, and I do rent stuff out to a couple of knowns and trusteds, but like really knowns and trusteds. But I have this fear of putting things on Fat Llama or something, and it comes back.
What?
And everything looks
Fat Llama?
Okay. You've not heard of this, Jim?
I've never heard of Fat Llama, but okay.
I'll look it up.
This is a thing, isn't it?
I'm sure it is.
This is where you can rent gear out without going through a rental.
Yeah, we have. There are there's some other ones.
It's quite a good resource of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Fat Llama seems to be the main one here, or in Europe, and I just have this paranoia about stuff coming back, and then me not noticing something screwed up with the gear, that someone's broken it in 100%. A way that I haven't noticed, and then you get on your own job and then it's not working, and I don't really want to get involved in that.
Quick side note, do you ever order something on Amazon and it just sits in the box on your desk?
Yes.
For like 2-3 weeks, then you open it?
Yeah.
No.
I do that all the time.
I do it all the time.
Never.
Or something comes in and I'm busy and I'm like,
really?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. For sure.
And it just sits there. There's a lens that's in a box in my office from Indiegogo, and I have yet to open it, which is really bad because it could be completely, So to your point, I get it. You get your camera back, and you're like, yeah, sure, or the lens back, and then you take it out a month later, and it doesn't like go past 4 meters.
Yeah.
It's
now a
dropped it.
It's a 24 to 68 instead of a 24 to 105 now.
Exactly.
Linus, I just wanted to, before you go on, I wanted to acknowledge a lot of new names in the chat that I'm seeing here. So thank you. If you came over from Caleb's channel, I really appreciate it. And Mike says, pandemic aside, would you guys ever want to do this in person? Hell yes. Pandemic aside.
Oh yeah.
We love doing stuff in person. We are, I would dare to say, very close friends. And the thing that we miss the most is not doing things in person. So if that's what you mean by that. So, yeah.
And real
every
quick,
NAB,
before you move on,
we get together and do this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to help Tim going back to that question because I completely took us in another direction. When it comes to revenue streams, if you haven't already, retainers are great. It's a great way to, depending on where you're at and the clientele you have, if you're looking for more revenue streams, working with some businesses where you're going to create X amount of X for them a month or a quarter. I know that's a great way to kind of, if you're looking to fill some time with work.
And more and more in demand now, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Andy, great to have you here for the live show, by the way. Jeff says, M1 Mac Mini, is it worth the investment just to edit on FCP for clients who demand FCP? I'm a PC Premiere user now. I mean, that's a bit of a first of all, I've never, yes. I've never met anybody who demands that you edit on Final Cut Pro. I demand you do. You better. But at the same time, if you're an editor and you consider yourself, it happens.
There you go.
Heather Locklayer's gone for a second.
You made it last week. You made it last week.
All week last week. I would say that if you're an editor, you have to learn more than one solution. And if you know Final Cut Pro or you're interested in it, it's a great tool. I mean, there's, it's just a tool, but it's a good one. So yeah, I would say if it's going to bring work in and you're into it, then go for it for sure.
I will say I've only heard one complaint about M1, Max.
Yeah.
The M1 chip. The only complaint I've heard from Final Cut editors is hardcore multicam. It's rough.
Interesting.
So if you only edit stuff that's like 8+ cameras in 4K, it's gonna be
only
for the M1 Mac Mini.
Yeah.
But if you're just cutting together 4K, a couple of cameras here and there, typical stuff, yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah. I'm a PC user as well, mainly. I bought the M1 MacBook Pro in the summer, and it's phenomenal. I don't use Final Cut, but if using it with Premiere and using it with Resolve, it's mind-blowing for what that thing cost. It's incredible. So I would only assume that on Final Cut it will be at least as good, if not better.
Yeah, and there's a follow-up, Jeff. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's what I was going to do. Clarification. Client wants FCP to update or revise edits afterwards. So that's the freaking rabbit hole right there. Okay. We have a client.
Oh man.
Oh boy.
The whole thing on that.
Yeah. We have a client right now. My main client is a Creative Cloud client, but they know Creative Cloud. They know Premiere. They know After Effects. And from day one, it was very apparent that we had to build projects and deliver projects that we could hand over to them. That was the ask. Now, thankfully, I didn't kick back too much on it because I've been doing work for them for over 3 years now. Thank goodness, That's the cross fingers, knock on wood, that continues for a while. But I will say that in general, when a client says that they want project files, it's a bit of a red flag most of the time. And it also gets really potentially messy because there's a different expectation there from the client. So first of all, you kind of just have to bump your fees up and just know that once you do this, there's, except for, certain situations like the one I'm in right now, is generally the writing's on the wall. You're going to do the project. You're going to put together this whole thing. They're going to say, well, we want it to be really neat and tidy and all blah, blah, blah. And you put it together. You're going to hand it over to them and the phone may stop ringing. So I'm not saying for sure.
Oh, I actually read that incorrectly. If that's your synopsis of what that says, I thought it more like
they want to update.
I think you're right. I'm just, when I initially read it, I read it as like for him to be able to,
right.
But the client want to work on it afterward, because that's a whole other thing. Is like, first of all, there's everything you explained, which is super valid, and then there's the fact that Final Cut you can get, I can't come up with a non-demonetized version. You can get, I can't even go there. It's nightmare dealing with versions.
Effed in the beehole.
Your
what?
OS. If you update your OS and then Final Cut updates, you may never be able to open up old projects again. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to oh, it's bad. If you go too far ahead and you try to go back to open up something, XML and old versions of Final Cut, depending on when it'll be like one update in 25 updates. Like if you've got 10.6.306 and you exported your XML then, or created the file, it can get nasty real quick. So XML is all day long. Make sure you export and keep that stuff updated, because I've had some serious issues there.
Okay, Wouter. Is that right? Wouter, not Wooter. Wouter.
Wooter?
Scout, Wow, Wouter, Router.
I'm sure
Wouter.
I'm sure that this was in the chat earlier about pronunciation.
There's a lot of stuff.
Water.
Wouter.
I don't know.
Okay. Good. I agree. Anything about that, Ben, that you want to chime in on our FCP conversation before we move on?
No, I don't use FCP. Anything that I do that's shared always is either Premiere, which I've never... Or he's always pretty good. For older versions, always seems to just update it to the newest one when you first open it, and then that all works fine. Or in Resolve, which I've also found okay. Only issues ever are, plugins that weren't on one machine. In the process, but that's easily solved. So yeah, I can't really offer any assistance on the Final Cut thing.
Yeah, there's never been any problems with Premiere Pro. Ever.
Oh, opening projects. That's.
I know.
I wasn't talking about the whole rest of the piece of
software.
That software is. Although it's at the moment, it's behaving itself.
Well, don't say that out loud. No. All right, what else do we got? Let's go for some more questions. Anybody want to pull some from the chat? I'm ready.
Oh man, where do we leave off, or should we just kind of hop down here?
Yeah, let's hop down.
A lot of conversations.
Yeah.
If we missed your comment, you can repost.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit here and read on camera for 1,000 years.
One here about got another one from Tim Duggan. I'm setting up my first NAS. Do you all keep your old client work in entirety or delete after a period of time? I think we did an episode on this many moons ago.
We did.
Yeah.
Has your process changed since then? Might be worth a redo.
A little bit.
Sure, the hardware's altered maybe a little bit.
Yeah, slightly. So I still work on a job that I'm shooting. Line item on the bill for client is drives 2 or double whatever is required. So there's always working in a backup drive, and then I do normally different brands of the same capacity just in case. I have no idea. I also format one in Mac and one in PC for no good reason either. But it just seems.
I had a friend who would buy 2 different brands, 2 different days or months, 2 different enclosures. Like he was a wedding guy, like really high-end wedding.
Yeah,
like
that's scarier than any corporate
six-figure wedding gigs. And he would get the most, he would make sure that no drive ever share the same batch as another drive for multiple backups. He was nuts, but hey, he was making a lot of money.
That's kind of sensible. Yeah. So I bring that stuff in, and what I used to do is then pull all of that onto a fast working drive to do the job, and then the edit files, the Final Cut files, or Resolve would then go onto those disks for archive and back in. And for clients, sometimes they retain a drive if we've agreed that, and that they're keeping rushes as well, so that they've got to send to media, which is one client I'm working with at the moment, we do that. But what I've started to do now is just having really quick sort of proxy drives or cache drives. And actually now Resolve particularly is fantastic at this, just actually running them even off those little 2.5-inch USB 3 drives, that even raw footage, it's then just caching that out onto the fast internal SSD, the M2 drive, and it's playing back beautifully, editing really quickly. So that's kind of taken that step out. But same thing, project files go back on it on the end. But also things that are not massive, I'm now actually starting to archive through Google Drive. I have an account with Google that gives me unlimited space on there, which I don't pay a huge amount for that each month. My connection could do with being a little quicker. So it's still limited to smaller projects, but that's belt and bracesing it a little bit. But otherwise, it's the same as how things were working.
Yep. Zizo says, does HLG have the same dynamic range with vlog on the GH5? Highlight roll off is, I guess, what I'm after. It's a little bit of a different animal and was really designed for broadcast television. So it's kind of its own weird combination of, it's kind of like, I can't believe I've gone blank, gentlemen, on Canon cinema cameras where you have log and then you have, I stopped using it a long time ago, where you get kind of a roll off. It's not the same as HLG, but
yeah,
it's kind of this pseudo like combo of higher dynamic range and also better roll off in the highlights, essentially. But it's really designed for broadcast. So like, if you're broadcasting a football or soccer game or something like that, and you're pushing it to, to HDR televisions, it's kind of a delivery, format, as opposed to log being something that is really not supposed to be a delivery format. It's supposed to be let's get the most out of the camera and then deal with it. Yeah. Yeah.
To me, filming in HLG is like getting those old like reel to reel audio spools, feeding it into a CD player, then listening to it on speakers.
That's a pretty interesting analogy.
You can do that,
yes.
But why not just get rid of the CD thing and just go reel to reel to your amplifier?
Yeah, it makes total sense for live. Yeah, it makes total sense for live broadcast production, where you're pushing content to televisions and you need to retain more dynamic range, better highlight roll off. But I've never been drawn to shoot on a camera in HLG, and it's becoming more.
People do it, and these days I'm like, whatever works for you and you're more comfortable with.
Yeah.
But in general, filming in log is designed to let you work with stuff. So if you're concerned about dynamic range in post, I mean, I would just say shoot log, make sure it's 422 10-bit, and get the official LUTs and, go that route for sure. That's what I would say.
So, I just want to make one other point going back to the file stuff, and you were asking about how long keeping client work for, which we didn't actually cover in that answer. Well, what did you agree with the client, I guess, is what it comes down to. Are you agreeing that you're archiving this stuff and you're keeping this? Then you need to make damn sure that you've got that covered. If you're not, then you need to work out if that stuff's got used to you. If you got further use for those rushes, do you own the copyright on those still? You haven't handed that over. Is something that you might want to use for stock? It's all that those kind of questions. But what have you agreed with?
Going back to Tim,
it comes down to.
Yeah. Speaking of that, going back to Tim's earlier question about, different revenue streams, you could a la carte that stuff at the end as an option.
Yep.
Or not the end, but in pre-production, like a little tick box for, for an extra fee, we'll hang on to this for X amount of time. Just make sure you actually hang on to it.
Well, I was going to say, I would have that conversation and explain why the cost of that's kind of quite expensive to really guarantee it. Because then if you do agree to that and you keep it in your house and your house burns down and you haven't got an offsite backup or you haven't done cloud backup or whatever it is, you're kind of leaving yourself open to a lot of problems. I hold on to everything, but so when a client comes back 5 years later and go, you haven't still got those, I might do. There'll be a archive retrieval fee, or if it's a really good client, you'll do it for nothing, but you can go find that stuff. But I never offer it as a service from the outset because, there's just too many variables.
Yeah. All right. Thulberg, I don't have an answer for you on Thulbard. I don't have an answer for you on infrared cinematography. It's not in my wheelhouse personally. So if somebody does and want to get their eyes on that, feel free to, but it's just not a thing for me. So I wouldn't even know where to begin, to be honest with you.
No. Check out Philip Bloom's stuff. He's done loads of that.
Yeah, for sure.
And modifying cameras. So have a look on it through his stuff.
Yeah. Caleb was thinking about charging for raw footage archiving. So Tim, again, it's a big subject, but from a client perspective, what I try to do when I write a proposal and I put together a budget for a project is I spend a lot of non-billable time trying to figure out what the true scope of the project is and also what the client's expectation is. And I try to make sure that my proposals are black and white, so no gray areas if possible. So it's about a lot of questions. It's about a lot of figuring out not only who the decision makers are, but who you're going to be working with, and then what their expectation is, and putting that very clearly in writing, and then having some standard or project terms which define the things that are not included. So it includes this, but it doesn't include this. And then if they question that when you submit the proposal, then you can have a conversation and do a revision that basically line items if they want you to hand over project files, because that takes time, right? It's a big difference between just shooting raw, and I don't mean shooting in raw, I just mean the actual original footage, and then also organizing that specifically to hand over to a client, right? So we generally don't just roll on takes and then just say, here's everything. What we'll do is we'll go through and there's a cleanup process. We'll get rid of, heads and tails that don't make any sense. And, if we start rolling and then the slate doesn't come in for another 20 seconds, we're going to get rid of some stuff. We're going to get rid of garbage takes, and we're going to clean everything up. So when it gets handed over to the client, if we do in fact do that, it's not only a billable, but it's also something that is, going to be usable by them. But again, it's a weird area, and it is a little bit of a flag for stuff. Yep. So there you go. Good. If you've asked a question up near the top, feel free to just copy and paste it and re-ask it, because I think it may have got lost in the mix there. And let's keep going. What else do we have? Let's get some other questions. And how much time do we have?
People are talking about cloud backups. I use Backblaze, which folks are talking about. Kit says, what about Checksum? I don't know about that. I couldn't tell you. I've not had to use it. But, if you have, I think the cloud should be your third, fourth.
Exactly.
If you're to the point where you're getting your projects back from the cloud, you've gone through hell. Yeah.
Quite.
If anything, throw a cheap, safe, fireproof safe in your basement. Basements. I have friends who are firefighters.
Yeah.
And they tell me all the time, dude, put the nice stuff in the basement. He's one in particular is you would not believe how so many basements, after a house will burn to the ground, and the basement, aside from smoke, is perfect.
Yeah.
Nice. Except I haven't got a basement.
Dig a hole. Dig a hole every month. Bury your projects.
Neighbors, I'll be going out in the middle of the night with a pickaxe. Neighbors will be wondering.
Wait, you said I'm in a kill room, and now what's going on with you now? This is getting dark. Okay,
he's
Linus.
protecting his hard drives.
That's true. Can you see Linus going out with the axe in the middle of the night with the striped shirt, and then just I could see it happening with you, Ben.
Blanket
out in the woods.
I was going to say,
I could put a safe. I could put a safe in here. We could put a safe in this hole. We can do it.
You got a shed,
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a shed.
Yeah. Do you have a wood chip? You have a wood chipper too? It's going to get Fargo now. It's going to get real messed up.
Gosh.
Okay. So let's get some more questions in. We got about another 10 plus minutes here. Again, if you're just joining us or didn't hear earlier on, next week is our favorite gear of 2021 episode. And if you want to participate, gear@thec47.com, email address, and just send a PDF. Multi-page is fine. Just keep it all contained, 16 by 9, not a 300 megabyte PDF. And just, show some of your favorite gear. You can do multi-up on one page, or you can do a piece of gear for each page. Let's say no more than 7 or 8 pages of gear that you really like, and send it through email, and we'll make it part of the show. And it can be, as Caleb has said, either stuff that was released in 2021, or it's just the realization, here we are coming to the end of the year, And I could not imagine not having that piece of kit or that solution as part of what I'm doing every day. It doesn't have to be stuff that, in my opinion, you've necessarily used on a lot of projects. It could just also be equipment that just, is a big change to the industry or you think is going to have impact. So I think that's fair game as well for the conversation to go. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that? Okay.
No, that sounds good.
Good.
I saw, we were talking about this the other week, but there's a Litro camera came on Facebook Marketplace really close to me for about $400.
Yeah.
I'm so tempted to have a play with it.
Yeah. If you think you can turn it around and sell it again.
Well, that's the thing. How much are those things new? Do you remember?
They're expensive.
They were
very expensive. Yeah. I think they were many thousands of dollars, if I remember correctly. They weren't so inexpensive that I felt compelled to buy one. I'll tell you that much.
No, for sure. I remember it being kind of like exactly that, Fantasyland, when you were looking at it. Have either of you two ever used one?
Nope. Well, I haven't.
Nope.
Tim says, would love to hear y'all's 2022 goals. Yeah, my first one is...
That's a whole episode. Yeah.
My first one, it has nothing to do with equipment and stuff. My goal is to be able to go out into the world without a mask and all the other crap that we have to deal with. But that's, I don't know if that's a goal. That's just a pipe dream, I think.
Mine is, I reckon it's happening. I reckon this new variant, massively transmissible, doesn't really do anyone any harm. Hopefully this is what it is going to be. It's going to wipe out the other one. By March, everything's back to normal.
Perfect. And then we all hang out. Wishful thinking, but it's amazing. We can talk about that when we come back on January 5th. I think we should, have our perspective.
That's a good topic. 2022 filmmaker goals.
Yeah, maybe that'll be our January 5th, and then we'll also decide on our film challenge. I'm struggling, by the way. I mean, it's shooting film again. It's just not the same as digital, not relying upon autofocus. It's, this lab that I went to does a horrible job on scanning, by the way. There's like the dirtiest, I don't know what they're doing, and the JPEGs suck, so I'm going to look for a new resource for that. But it's definitely a relearning process to really get into, because what I really want are beautiful, photographs that are, well, we'll get there. It'll happen at some point. Maybe that's my goal.
360 grad. Make sure you send it to this is my favorite gear of the year 2021 and like it at the C47.
It's amazing that you said that's the email address, because that's exactly what I was going to say, 360 grad. You nailed it right there. Maybe it should be ha at the C47.com. But,
it's absolutely foolproof. Jem's email system never misses anything. Nothing will go to spam.
Oh, 100%. You
can send it to there. You can send it to anything at the C47 and Jem will.
You say wooter, I say wowder.
And then turn around and next week we'll be like, why did none of you do this challenge? Real quick, going back to you were mentioning something on Facebook Marketplace for sale.
Yeah.
If you have a bunch of vintage lenses and you're thinking about selling some, or have maybe not considered it, but now you are, check prices, because things are nuts out there in certain categories.
Really?
It's a time you could make some money if you have certain things.
Yes, I invest religiously the same amount into the stock market every single month, no matter what. And there's one lens that, percentage-wise, might outbeat everything I've done the last 2 years. It's ridiculous. Some categories have exploded. I own one Canon 55 millimeter Canon FD 55 millimeter 1.2 SCC spherical.
Yes,
you were there a spherical. So the K35 still versions.
Yeah. It's like a Bitcoin.
It's nuts.
It's your version of owning a full Bitcoin.
It's crazy out there right now. And there's other lens categories too, used lenses. But anyway, I mean, everything's just crazy right now with no one being able to get anything. I don't know what's happening, but people
the world's
are willing
ending.
to spend way more than they were before.
We have AI.
Before the zombie apocalypse break out,
we have
lenses.
We have AI and we have frog embryos, and they're reproducing together. It's robotic. I saw another robot. I mean, forget Boston Dynamics. Skynet is here, by the way. We're totally fucked. I don't care what anybody says. Say what you
50
will.
Viewers
we're
watching now. 40.
40.
Yeah. Done. See ya. I'm out. I'm out.
Out of nowhere.
I know. It's perfect. Okay, good.
So you're telling me that robots are having sex with robots or with frogs?
No, with frogs.
And Skynet's here.
Did you not see the thing about the AI? What did they you took they have figured out how to take AI and the frog. It was like all over the news. They took an AI and a frog.
It was not all over the news.
Yes, it was.
You are only fans.
Gem. Ben and I and the chat have not been reading. Are not subscribed to the daily. Get me mad, upset, or scared about this today.com.
I love it. It's great. I'm just saying it's all over. Okay, that's what was your favorite your guy's favorite movie? Like the movie that flashes in your head every time you pick up a camera or light for a scene. Well, I wouldn't say it has anything to do with when I pick up a camera and light for a scene, because I think that's specific to the project you're working on. But I do have a few favorite movies. See how I changed the subject there? Yeah. So there's a few. I would say that the original Blade Runner definitely is up there at the top. There's a few others, but that's one of my favorites. So there you go. Okay. Yeah, you go, everybody, look up what I'm talking about. It won't take you long to find it.
You're screwed
now. Between Elon Musk and the frog thing, and then that video of like this robot in the foreground in England and the one in the background, and some kid at like a computer, and it just goes like this, and it starts looking at itself, and it's all over. You're done. Okay, just pack it in.
In
everybody.
England.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You don't think I might have noticed this?
No, you're in the Czech Republic. You're trying to dig it. You're trying to dig a hole in your backyard for a safe, Linus. So I don't know what's going on over there. All right, it got very quiet here. Let's go. My wife. What? Oh, I'm not gonna wear this. My wife just came upstairs and demanded I wear headphones after the last few minutes.
She's come up with your robots having sex with frogs.
See, Future Tech just said, I saw it too. You were not making this up. See, at least I got one person.
I don't know where you two are hanging out on the internet. You have some very specialist interests.
You're the ones telling me about OnlyFans and all this other stuff. I didn't even know Wish existed before our challenge.
Ben,
so let's
I don't know I'm over here and
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Clean
land.
Wherever you two are reading on the internet.
This is okay.
And yes, Kit, 100% media division. That video that film was legendary. That guy's nuts, man. He's good.
Who?
Have you guys seen him? Media division?
No.
Dude, grab a scotch and your favorite snack. Sit on the couch.
Your favorite
and AirPlay. And AirPlay. Just Google, media division. Canon FD. This guy has multiple videos where he goes through like famous lens sets.
Yep.
And he puts himself in movies. Like he put himself in the Aliens 2 with the Marines.
Yes.
And it looks exactly like, it's incredible. And he talks about the filmmakers who use the lenses. He talks about the K35s. He talks about the Canon FDs and the history.
I got it.
And goes through the lenses. God. It's amazing.
I can't wait.
Incredible.
You know what's even more incredible is how many people in the chat have been watching all these videos. It's called Hypnotoad. They even know the creepy robot smile at the end. They're all in. Leaving.
What is
what's gonna happen?
Creepy.
Have you?
The creep.
Yeah, dude. It's scared. It scared. The reason I'm speaking about it scared the bejesus out of me. Let me just tell you, it is unbelievable. Those two things. Okay, I'm done. I can't. I just wanted to pack it in right then. I thought, why did I have children? Okay, we're done. It's over. It's insane.
My wife just said time's a ticking, and she's got tennis.
I know.
After this.
I know.
5:59. Oh my God. You know what's gonna
It's
happen?
cold
Though?
in
You know,
it.
you know when
What?
you search. You know when you search anything related to the thing that's affecting the entire world right now, and
Yes.
after you search for it on YouTube or find a video related to it, underneath it, YouTube's like, "Hey, you're too stupid to understand this, so let me tell you exactly what's happening right now and what our definition of all these terms are." That's going to happen underneath this video. It's going to be like, the Hypno Frog is a fake video, and you need to understand this.
Let me just explain to you right now. We're up
I'm
to
not saying it
6.
is,
We're up to 6 tennis balls in the chat. It's time to end this thing. Okay, Cassie has put 6 tennis balls, not 1 tennis ball. It's 6 tennis balls. So we are 7 dongles down, and it's time to wrap this thing up. Love you guys, and next week we'll have our favorite gear. It was awesome.
It was. Stuff. We gained two people too, even after all that.
Love it.
People came back.
Thank you, everybody. And we will see you next week, and we'll be talking about favorite gear. Send something to @thec47.com. And it's been a pleasure, as always. Go check out Media Division and the Hypnotoad.
And the frog.
That's what the Hypnotoad. Dude, you're over. It's all over. And then when you find the creepy smile robot, you're done. See ya.